Hi everyone. In this lecture, we will see how we can set up app script. Now for most of you, you are going to use it for the first time. And to enable it, you will have to go to your Google Drive, go to settings, and then click on settings. On the left side, you can find manage applications. And as you can see, there are several apps that I have which have been connected to Drive. Some of these would be Google and they can be from other firms as well. For example, I have Lucidchart. As you can see, I have Google Apps Script that has already been connected to my Google Drive account. But most likely you should not see this. So please go to connect more apps. And this is a marketplace where there are many different integrations available. You simply have to search for Google Apps Script and make sure to install it. It will ask you for your permission. Just click on OK. And once this is done, when you go back to settings, in manage apps, you should see Google Apps Script here. Now we're going to work with a Google Sheet, and I'm just going to call this Google Apps course. When you go to tools, there are two different things that you will find. One is a script editor and the other is the macros. Now macros, for those of you who have already used it on Visual Basic, is quite similar. As a matter of fact, Google also provides you a converter where your VBA codes can be converted into a macro on Google Sheets. But script editor is where we will actually have the entire power of scripting with us. So when we click on this, you will see that a new window opens up, and this is your integrated development environment. At the moment, let's not be too bothered with every option that we have available. So on the left side, we can see an overview, which tells us when we last ran it, it tells us how many users have been using it. Where we will focus is the editor, and code.js is the script that we have to write. We are not going to write a code right now. We will do this a little later after I have explained to you how macros work. But as you can see, this is the interface on which we will be working with Google Apps. Let us go back to Google Apps, and we have a Google Apps course sheet. And now we will create our first macro. We go to Tools, Macros, and Record Macro. Those of you who have used macros on Excel would find some of this familiar. For those of you who are doing it for the first time, simply follow the steps. In the next lecture, I will be explaining in much more detail how macros work and what is the difference between absolute and relative references. For the moment, we are not changing anything. We are keeping this intact. All right. So first we will write some text. I'm writing hello world. I go back to macros and record macro. And we are going to perform a few actions, and every action that we perform will be recorded. So first we want to make it bold, center aligned. And you can see here that every time I perform an action, it tells me that an action has been performed. Then let me also change the color. So there are three actions that we have performed. Let's add a final one, which is the border. And we will save it. Let us call this first macro. If you want to give a shortcut, you can, but for now we are not going to do it. But if you give a number like 1, then that becomes a shortcut that allows you to run the macro. But for now, I will keep this empty and save it. Before we see what the code is that has been written, let us quickly see if this works or not. So I will go to another sheet, and here we will write my, let me just delete the column first. Okay, so I write my first macro. Go to tools, macros, and you will find your macro here. The moment you click on it, you notice that all the actions are performed. It says finished script, and the same actions are repeated. Now let us see the script that has been written. So tools, macros, and then manage macros. We can edit the script